Are you tired of feeling like a referee instead of a music teacher? Do you spend more time managing behavior than actually teaching music? In today's episode, I am going to share with you the number one myth about classroom management and how you can make it better.
This podcast is a proud member of the Teach Better Podcast Network. Better today, better tomorrow, and the podcast to get you there. Explore more podcasts at www.teachbetterpodcastnetwork.com. Now let's get on to the episode.
It's the Happy Music Teacher!
Are you an elementary music teacher who's frustrated and overwhelmed? I'm Jeanette Shorey, a happy music teacher who loves teaching every day, but it wasn't long ago I was in your shoes. Join me Wednesdays to help you find happy in your music classroom.
So I came into teaching through the back door. And what I mean by that is in Florida, when I was studying to be a music teacher, they did not have requirements that you had to be certified to start out. I did have to get certified, but because I was working on my certification, I was able to come in under a different certification. And brutal honesty, I had no classroom experience at all. I was not trained in any sort of teaching. I had not had an observation. I had not had anything. I was so green. And I have to tell you that first year was literally trial by fire. I remember sitting down in the middle of my classroom one day and putting my head in my hands and being like, I can't do this. I don't know what to do. I don't know how to control these children. And it really took me, I'd say 3 years to really be in a place where I felt kind of okay, comfortable, where every single class was not a train wreck. Don't get me wrong. Even today, I still have train wreck classes. That happens, but it's much, much less frequent now because I am in a different place than I used to be. In fact, I remember a fifth grader at the very end of school saying to me, at the time I was Shorey, Miss Shorey, I love coming to your classroom because we get to come in any way we want. And I was like, holy cow. I don't think that's a good thing. And, I didn't say that to him, but I was like, that's really not a good thing, because by then I had seen, teachers set expectations and kids walking in the hallway certain ways and whatever. And in my classroom, literally, they came in running and jumping and leaping over chairs. I mean, it was a disaster. And so I knew that was something that I needed to figure out and I needed to manage. Today, I can go into any classroom with any students, and I am telling you, any students, and within about 30 seconds, they're doing exactly what I want them to do. But let me tell you what, I have a secret, and my secret is the number one myth about classroom management. And that myth is that classroom management is all about control and the way you react to things. And yes, to a point, that's the truth, like laying down the rules and reacting to every little thing. But I'm going to tell you that is not really what classroom management is about. It's not about laying down rules and getting your kids to do what the rules are. Because let's be real here. Their entire job is to push the boundaries. That's what they're all about. Kids push the boundaries so that they know how far they can push you. And if you continue to let them push you, guess what? They're going to keep pushing you. And that one kid who's pushing you is going to turn into 15 or 20 or 30 kids that are pushing you. So what I like to do is I like to make sure that my students don't have the opportunity to push me. And because my classroom is not about controlling them and having a rule for every little thing and reacting to all of those things. So what if the key to having a calm, focused, joyful classroom isn't really about control at all? What if it's about something more powerful, something that makes students choose to be engaged? And that's the truth about what we're covering today. So traditional classroom management is all about reactiveness, about reactive discipline, constant redirection, feeling like you're playing whack-a-mole with all the behaviors. So, for example, if Johnny says something like shouts out in the middle of class, you're immediately going to react to Johnny and there's going to be a consequence. Or if Caden is disrespectful to you, you're going to react to that. Or if the class as a whole is talking while you're talking, you're talking, let's take a check off, or let's, whatever it happens to be. So it's a reactionary thing. And what happens in that particular situation is it is an emotional and a physical toll on you, that you are constantly having to scan the classroom for behaviors. And I know for me, I am not good at that. Like, I remember, I can't tell you how many times I would have a kid with like a little toy in the front of the classroom and they're playing with their toy and somebody else would say, how come Caden gets to have that toy? And I'd be like, Caden would be right in front of me, right? And I'd be like, no, Caden, you're not supposed to have that toy. Put that toy under your seat. And brutal honesty, that still happens to me sometimes. I am not a detail person, and having to keep track of every single solitary detail, and yes, you do have to keep track of some details, but it is so exhausting to have that reactive discipline where you feel like you're always watching so carefully, and it's so frustrating because, again, children's whole job is to push your boundaries, and they are going to do things wrong because that's what they're supposed to do. And that doesn't make them bad children. In fact, have you ever had a kid say to you, Mrs. M, was I good today? How often does that happen? It's usually that kid, right? That you're like, oh my gosh. And then in your head, at least for me, in my head, I'm like, how do you not know that? But they really don't know that. They're not paying that careful of attention to their behavior. They're paying attention to how you react to their behavior. And because they're paying attention to how you react, when you have to keep reacting to their behavior, they get this feeling like you don't like them, you hate them, they don't like music because that music teacher doesn't like me. And it becomes this whole cycle of just epic fails, right? So when students are bored or they're confused or they're not actively involved, their brains are going to look for engagement somewhere else. And that's where the disruptive behavior comes from. And I'm not saying your class is boring. I'm totally not saying that. But a lot of times, the management issues that you're facing are disengagement rather than bad behavior. And I was reading in one of the Facebook groups recently, and somebody was like, I'm so sick of people telling me that it's all about my classroom engagement, and I'm very engaging with the students, and I do this and this and this and this. And I have, known this teacher for quite a long time. I have, kind of followed, and I'm sure that her activities are very engaging. So it's really a hard thing to figure out, right? I'm doing these fun things with my kids, and my kids are excited about what we're learning about. So bored is maybe the wrong phrase, but they need to be always actively involved, always engaged. Their brains need to be working and focusing on your activity. So the truth is that engagement is your ultimate management tool. And I don't mean the activities that you're doing with your students. I'm talking about true, sustainable classroom control that is not about strict rules. It is about deeply engaging your students. And when students are invested, they're challenged, they're curious, they're having fun, they are naturally going to want to participate positively. Their brains are so actively learning that there isn't room for off-task behavior. And that is kind of the mindset shift to go from, this like, I'm going to have to do each one of these little things, and I'm going to have to react to each one of these, and I have to find a consequence for each one of these. But what you really want to be doing is you want to be using your spidey senses of observation, and you want to be observing what is making your kids tick. What is it that really makes them excited, that really makes them engaged, that they are just fascinated by? What is funny to them? What do they just love that you do? So the engagement part is kind of a step-by-step process. You have to have a strategy that's going to work for your students. So the first step in engagement is to shift your mindset. So instead of saying, these kids are bad because they want to be bad, no kid comes into the classroom and is like, I am going to make Mrs. M's life absolutely miserable today. That is not what they want to do. They are not in that mindset. They are like, okay, my whole day has been crap today. I got in a fight with my best friend, and my mom yelled at me because I was late for school. And then we got into PE and my team lost. And then I got in a fight with this other kid. They have all this stuff that when they walk through your door, that's where they're at, and they're kids and they don't know how to reset. It's hard for us as adults to reset. So when you think about a child, that child, or sometimes that class, and you think that class is just trying to get on my last nerve, they are not just trying to get on your last nerve. They literally don't know how to behave. Your job is to teach them how to behave. And you want to use your classroom structure to help them. So probably the biggest thing that you want to do is you want to structure your classroom in a way where they know exactly what to expect. They know exactly how to handle things because they know that you are going to be consistent in everything you do. And that's hard to do. Obviously, that's hard to do. But if you can structure your class so that it just goes. For example, we start with they walk in the door and they're already doing something. They already have an activity. Maybe they're reading rhythm cards, or maybe they're echo singing the song that you're going to be doing. They are actively working from the moment they come in. They sit down, they continue working. They don't have to choose a chair. You're going to give them an assigned seat, and that is the chair that they sit in. I don't care how many times the classroom teacher switches their seat throughout the year, because there's a lot of classroom teachers for reasons that they have that are good reasons. But in your classroom, they're sitting in that same chair the entire year. And so they don't have to choose a new chair. They don't have to be worried about, oh, I want to sit next to this person or not that person. They sit down, that's where they sit. Once you've finished that beginning activity, then you want to do something calm. You want to take 30 seconds or a minute, and you want to get them focused and ready you can do some sort of a matching game or like an echoing game that's very slow and easy. You can do some sort of bubble breathing or deep breathing, 30 seconds or a minute, get them focused. Do not tell them what you're doing. They don't care. They really don't. Then you're going to go into the main part of your lesson. You're not going to talk too much, because as soon as you start talking, Johnny in the back is poking Sally, and I'm making up names here, is poking Sally, and then they're getting into it, and they don't want to hear you talk. They want things to be active. They're in there to have fun. They don't care if they learn anything. We know they're learning, but they don't care. So your day has to go very structured the whole way through. Your classroom has to be set up so that you can grab things in a moment's notice. Your tools for your day have to already be in place. That means you have to have a plan. You have to have a plan before your students walk in. And when your classroom runs like clockwork, when you have transitions between your activities, when you have everything set up for them, when you have whatever you want on the board behind you when they walk in, and all you have to do is bip, 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 that is what you want to do. So it's not about engaging them in like the most exciting activities. It's not about engaging them in the most fun activities. It's not about controlling their behavior, holding on really tight and, oh, you did this and, oh, you did that. No, it's not about any of that. It is about the flow of your lesson. It is about changing the way you're teaching so that those students are engaged. And I don't mean the activity. I mean the process that you're using is keeping them engaged, keeping them moving the whole time. And that is what's really going to be the key to managing your class. You want to be funny with them. You want to be silly with them. You want to do the things that they want to do, and you want to keep it moving. So the ultimate mindset shift is that the engagement, the flow of your lesson, the way that you present your lesson is the management. It's revolutionary, and it is part of what we're teaching you in the Make Music Magic Summit coming up next month. August 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, we are going to be talking about all kinds of strategies that are going to help you keep your students engaged. You're going to get to steal the strategies from all of the magical master music teachers that I have that are going to be presenting at this summit. And you're going to get proven practical strategies, approaches to integrate, to keep your students engaged, and the pathway that is going to help you get there. So, quick recap. The myth is that you have to keep control of every single detail that happens in your classroom, when really instead you need to keep your kids busy and engaged. You can make this shift. You can think about your students differently. You don't have to do that alone. How can you do this? Well, I am here to help. The other music teachers from the summit are here to help, and we are so happy and excited for you to steal our strategies. So how do you get notified about the Make Music Magic Summit? Well, what you're going to do is you're going to download my engagement checklist by going to thehappymusicteacher.com/engagement and enter your email address, enter your first name, click on the bright yellow button, and that is going to give you my engagement checklist. Once the Make Music Magic Summit opens up and you can get your free ticket, yes, I said free ticket, then you are going to be notified, because now you'll be part of my community, my email community, Happy Highlights, and you are going to get notified about all the goodness that goes on with the Happy Music Teacher community. But definitely you are going to want to download that checklist and join my email community so you can be notified when the Music Magic Summit opens up for registration. And I am going to give you my checklist that is going to help you start redesigning so that classroom management is never a problem again.
If you got some great tips and tricks that are going to help you be a happy music teacher, I would be so thankful if you would go on and leave me a 5-star review. Well, that's all I have for you today. But before I go, I want to remind you, keep learning, keep growing, and keep being fabulous you.